I assure you my drink is good. Keep the wine flowing, elf, and I shall tell you a most curious tale of myself and this basher named Illr. Oh, my name? I am Marglod, Dreyma, Higgva, Valdyrson, Bjod, Sting-Hamarr. You don't know the name? I suppose that's what you would find in hell. It's why you're not able to alleviate yourself from this wretched surrounding and into better endeavors. No, that's, you didn't know. You're just smashing the syllables all up incorrectly. You may call me, in your tongue, the Golden Dream Thorn, son of Valdyr of Clan Higgva. Oh, this? Yes, it is a fine Lucian hammer. The ruby it's carved from is purely mined on the 9th plane of hell. The name, yes. Raudr, born hell, Bani, Illr. Gosh, no. Ooh, you're not even putting the words in the right place. I thought elves were nimble, you clumsy-mouthed oaf. Burke. Well, again, refer to it like this. In the tongue of man, it should form more easily upon your tongue and lips, those simple, crude words. It is the red child of hell, slayer of evil, and such a fine thing crafted from the rubies of hell itself should find it well serviced here. And indeed it has, but that I shall continue on later into the story, for the story begins, as it seems all stories in the multiverse do, inside the cage, inside Sigil, upon the busy streets, in front of my own family's stall. Yes, we are the finest gem crafters, the finest crafters of gold, the finest crafters of ivory on all of the worlds, known and unknown. For that is a true, honest assertion. It is no vulgar boast, and if you do not believe me, come down to our stall in Sigil. You'll find us right beside the fat bloated toad that attempted to impregnate Illr, and that is how we met, me and this good basher. Oh, Illr, yes, he's a Githzeri. He's tall and gaunt, at least. He looks tall to me now. Wouldn't have a month ago, but that is a different story, and one I might not have enough jink to cover up into its full. Not that I would trust a wine slinger in hell with my most intimate of details. Now, Illr, I found and rescued this poor sod from in front of a Slotty, a giant, fat, bloated toad from Limbo, and the thing was rightly so going to impregnate him and force his law reign. And there was some poor, pathetic creature, some backworlder from some prime place called Dimmar. I do not know. I do know there are roses there, and you need a dozen to get through a certain gate in his home, which he did not have, apparently, for why would such a lout flourish well tidings on his lovely wife? I see where that has led him, wooing it only once, and that one time upon the streets of chaos, which is my home, inside the grand cage of Sigil. And upon those streets we found this lost fool coming up, stumbling across the road, nearly being trampled to death. As he came up and spoke with me, I said, "Would you like to see my wares?" And he continued off with some tripe nonsense, and eventually the Slotty brought him over and tried to sell him. The Slotty is beside us. He's a right bastard, I should say, trying to always sell up made-up pieces of other planes to those who just have only plane traveled, apparently by coincidence or misfortune, for they are soon parted with their jink, and rightfully so, for a fool and his wares should not occupy the same space for long, and certainly not upon the grand stage at the center of all things. But there, as I'm minding my own business as I want to do, trying to make business as this poor, foolish human from Dimmar, and that is off trying to buy a part of Pandemonium or some other plane that stretches forever that he couldn't possibly begin to enforce or even get to. From this, Solani, well, he gives you a map. Yes, I own this. It's a racket, and it is always disheartening to me to see that some do fall for this over and over and over again. It seems he has at least one customer every day. Now, into Illr across the throng, seeing this poor sod, feeling sorry for this clueless Burke. I do not know why my people do not have such easily pulled upon heartstrings, but Githzeri do, and they bleed out of seemingly every pore this compassion. And this is where compassion leads. It's quite a funny tale. So, I have to separate Illr off of this Salati, who is going to impregnate him. And I have to trade back insults and so forth. For Salati, hate Githzeri. Probably Githyanki too, but I'm not quite sure about that one. Githyanki. I have another story about that. Suma, next time I'm back home, I shall certainly be paying her a visit. They make interesting companions, I can tell you that of the Githyanki. But they are dicks, and that is a fact known the plains over. So, to make the story a bit shorter, we skip across the flow of this maddening stream where there are insane imbeciles blathering at us in the tongue of the Chaos of Teps, and I want no part of this, and Gregor, the clueless Burke human that we pick up, humans, is taken over to this madness and nearly succumbs to, begins to babble out this Chaos Text as well. I am a centered man of balance and did want no part of that from such a weak, debased, derogatory creature. We eventually get him over to a stall to attempt to buy some flowers and send him on his way home. The creature actually objected when I began to take his possessions and trade them off in an effort to most easily and expeditiously handle this. You know, I had to actually go in my own purse for coin of my own. I am a merchant, and I have yet to be acquiring of that coin that has been spent, but I do have plans for that. It's going to be a bit more difficult now, and you will see why as the story unfolds. We meet with this horny fey creature, some sort of shrub monster, I think, and the shrub monster says to Illr, Githzeri, companion of mine, and begins to make most randy attempts upon him. Illr is not very good looking, and between the two of us, she certainly knew which one was in her league and which one was not. So, but I will give him this. He was at least better than Gregor. At least better than Gregor is now. I shall say that for you, Basha. So, we end up making a deal to have to acquire from the markets of Dis a bag of larvae grown upon the seventh hell strange larvae because she wants to consume them. Most vile act. Now, don't get me wrong. My people have for time immemorial eaten other sentient creatures. I enjoy it upon occasion myself. Yes, I eat people of sentient soul and mind. I do. Not currently. I've been eating a lot of fungus grown in hell currently, but I wonder what Illr tastes like. I've never eaten a Githzeri before. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, eating someone's soul is not like eating someone and allowing their soul to leave and to go to its just rewards. Eating someone's soul is just wrong. There's somewhere where you have to draw a line. Even, well, if you practice cannibalism from time to time, it's really more of a ritual thing at parties and so forth. You know, if your brothers are doing it, you have to have an arm, a leg, or perhaps eat the still beating heart out of some elf. Well, that probably is. I'm sorry if it's unsavory for you. You're the bartender in hell. I think that would be a bit too much for you. At any rate, we move on and we get to another tiefling. She's quite attractive. And obviously interested. I believe I shall acquire some time with her when we return to the cage. She gave us a nice discount, of course, and we acquire the room. In the process, some prick halfling, a half-witted halfling, picks my purse. Of course, I saw all of this, but I wanted to test Illr and see if that basher had any loyalty to myself, the wielder of the polearm. For he is a katana man, and I've never trusted a man who wields a sword. You shouldn't either. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, people like swords. Yes, well, there's probably a reason I never bothered to learn your language. But, no, back down here. Keep the drink coming. I'm getting a bit thirsty. Now, we acquire from them this bit of problem. As he filches my purse, Illr stops him. He's with a gnome. I drive the gnome to the floorboard, smashing his filthy fat nose against it. I have the bone to open the portal. In the three of us walk, additionally a halfling for four. We take him through. I toss him to the side like so much sacks of garbage in the outlines, allowing him to find his own way back, and perhaps he is still there. I'm pretty sure he is still there, for how else would he have gotten back? And it's quite a difficult idea to travel so far. And we did travel, and you have to kind of take your mind off things and wandering around in the outlines is that sort of way. We get to Ribcage, a town on the very outskirts of hell, as close to hell as you can get on the outlands, ruled by a big fat tiefling, a fat, larguous, triple-chinned, woman-breasted creature of power nonetheless, for he'd tie men and such. And this is where, you must know that, my people, we take our family lineage very, very seriously, with but the quickest of asides. I could recite it out to 100 places, my father's father's fathers, and so forth, and into the metal or other substance that was bound their soul. Now, this being said, Illr, in these hot baths, which he somehow seemed to have 100 gold, yes, 100 gold to get into. Oh, yes, I was in there. Of course, I have gold. I only travel in style. And I brought this bashful Illr in, saying he may well be used to the family yet. We sit there, and he makes an insult to my mother, calling my mother no more than a common streetwalker. Well, I only meant to drown him a little, and I forgot that these are waters of hell, and he's a human from them all. So when I pushed him in and held him down under the water and pulled him back out, his skin came off like it was the shell of some insect peeling away from molting. Unfortunately, there was not much of use under there, and afterwards he always went, and that is pretty much all he said, but I had to go get some slave clothes. Oh, yes. I threw him back in the water, disgusted. I mean, it wasn't proper. It wasn't the way I would want to go and eat someone. I'd just wash that off. And, of course, Illr, something that's called a paladin. Yes, a holy warrior. Can you believe it? Even held as well. But then Ribcage was not taken kindly upon. He used his power of godly healing upon this poor carcass of a man. Why he bothered, I don't know, but I guess he wanted to get our money back, so he does seem to have a studious mind for such things. So he grabs him, rescues him from the pits of this water, and heals him. I have to grab them all and rush out, using the power innately born in my blood to so quickly remove us from the establishment, for they were no longer interested in our patronage in this bathhouse. I could probably go back. I don't think I smell quite as off to them as this Paladin Gizarate, even other Gizarate, but I think they may have been some sort of petition. I'm not sure. I didn't really bother with it. So I get them slave garbs and bring my two slaves around with me through. I find the fat woman-titted tiefling has the ability to put us on through in his gate, but he would want part of my family's business then? Hell, no, that shan't be happening. I'll guarantee you that. Surely my father would execute me, and rightfully so, even being his eldest son. Some things are not done. We make our way through and unto hell itself, but the way we did it, I find some poor imbeciles that go about with their addle-coved minds worshipping devils. Now, why on earth would you worship a creature of torment and imprisonment? It is just balmy, and they are. So I told them we were fine followers of the dark ways, and I said, look here, this man has flayed himself. I flayed him, but they didn't need to know that. And they took it all in. Of course, they're dopes. It's not so easy. It's not so difficult to fool someone who so fools themselves so readily into believing they shall have salvation in the realm of prison and torture. Smart people they are that worship hell. Not that my family doesn't pay our tithes to the great Asmodeus, but it is all in lip service, for we are of the cold winter wind, and that is where our true fealty has always lied, and will always lie, and even unto ourselves. I, of course, am a guardsman, so I have an understanding that I am special and elevated above, well, the rest of you. But it is my own blood and lineage to flow forth, and that shall be the true understanding. Oh, these drinks, they're rather good. It's nice to have Elvish wine here in hell. Quite a delicacy. It's so sad many cannot afford that, being slaves and such. Anyway, this brings us to the fine ass of a tiefling that was laid prostrate before me many times, and I speak of Flamen Therma. Flamen, of course, being her family name. She was a tiefling female who was apparently some sort of priestess of hell. She was quite understanding, for our great deal of time is to pay true supplication to me. We make our way in there, her believing, as the dope she is, that we were, of course, followers of hell, me and the paladin. Yes, and we go in with a total of 6. Well, of course, there's a rule of 3, so 3 are down quite quickly. I don't want to tell you quite what I did there, but I'm alive, and that is really all that matters. And that is quite the moral of the story, isn't it? We make our way through Avernus, the first layer of hell. We see armies and such, and I have to hastily get us across to a good basher, but not quite competent in such ways. I have to fly him and... Well, you see, I had an accident. I used to fly quite well, and now it is only at best sputters and spitters, and I thought I could get us across the river, never having judged that and let use of talent before, that minor ability. Didn't work very well. So, as I drop these two, this clueless Bert Gregor and this decent enough basher Illthrin, I use Gregor's body and jump off of it, propelling him down to the liquid of the Lethe river of Styx to wash away his mind. Of course, it would happen to both of us if I hadn't springboarded off of his head and landed there nicely upon the raised... I don't even know what it was, some kind of hellish earth. And we make our way across, fireballs raining from, I was about to say heavens, but that wouldn't be quite apropos now, would it? No. They were the skies of hell, the skies that vastly off, perhaps even invading demonic armies were flying through. But hell is a large, large place, and I made my way through, seeing screaming totems of heads and other such unwholesome sights. An invisible, what we believe to be pit fiend named Click has come to us and made us a most illicit offer. I wasn't going to do it at first, but he seems to know something about someone who took something from me. And I tell you, my people are people of vengeance, and what is right, and what is mine, and what is right is for mine to be mine, and who took from me to pay the price in the only way that he can. And that, well, I won't tell you that, for there are some tales that might be a bit too scary for hell. So, back to more pleasant topics of Gregor wandering around us with no flesh or memory and such. And at this point, it was almost really a mercy killing after dealing with this alleged invisible Pippin who would not show himself, claiming to have problems with Dispater. And, well, those are his own business. A mention of a Holy Avenger. And a Holy Avenger is the most foul and disgusting weapon. I did not wish such an unbalanced item to be put in the hands of our nice Illthrin, now that this basher is slowly beginning to grasp the concepts of balance, of the strong having the ability to put themselves forward and continue on and to raise and to ascend into themselves unto godhood. He's beginning to get inklings of ideas inside the silliness of what Zerfman brings him. But Zerfman does bring tidings of positive energy, and that works well across the body. Now, I tell you, it is not the most suitable and most enjoyable to my flesh, for I do not quite like the taste of that unbalance inside me. No, I do not. But it is still better than the throbbing, open, bleeding, gashing wounds that have been put upon me and the burning away of my flesh by the continuous rain of fire from the sky as we make our way through past him. Now, I had thoroughly just planned to betray him and double-cross him out to Dispater, but he doesn't have his information, and Illthrin and more wants this Holy Avenger. I'm sure he'll never get back to its rightful owner, but that's no real issue of mine. Now, is it better to have a Holy Avenger used beside you than against you, I always say. Now, as we get over there, there's this massive churning pit of maggots where Flamen Therma and Gregor are there, and this clueless Burke is always rummaging around towards the larvae in this large cauldron of them, and I see nothing out there to safeguard them, so I say, hand the bag at my waist to Gregor, and I say, Gregor, go fill it up, and it's a little prodding. I stand back a good ways and watch him. I had already told Flamen Therma, go back to praying to God, and gave us some line of rubbish about how I was beginning to think to hear of the devils themselves. Well, she's off. Illthrin's always off, and off he goes. So no one is there to perhaps see my bit of chicanery, testing out to see if we could just steal some of these maggots instead of actually paying for them. Larvae, excuse me. He goes there, and I tell you, at this point, I was already beginning to... There's a bit of flirtation and such between Flamin and I after I put her in place. I can't say I wasn't becoming a bit lovelorn with this tiefling. She's really become a type, really, the way she's acted quite disgustingly. But I tell you, there'll be a reckoning for that. I shall tell you where she betrayed us, but I saw it coming all along. You know, eyes are here and eyes are here, and they are watching all the time. So keep the goblets coming. And don't skimp. No, not too much water. Not enough wine. So, as I was saying, good layman, as she continues, on and bring us there. The large devil comes and grabs him, yanks him into the larva, and the larvae begin to eat away at his very flesh. I thought perhaps we could get free larvae, but we're off away from Gregor at least. And he throws Gregor back out of the pit after I tell him something of, well, the nature of how Gregor actually was going to contaminate his larvae. And Illr begins to take the body. I guess he's trying to claim it as some sort of war trophy, or perhaps he wants to raise him from the dead. To know why you would take a dead skin mask of a man you didn't kill yourself. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to eat it. I don't think that he is a cannibal. He might be. And if he is, then good on him, but I don't believe so. Anyway, we make our way through Tiamat's lair, and hearing the howlings of dragons and such things, most caustic to my ears. And we make our way through, and there's some magic mouth in there that's telling us to crawl. I say, no, we're not to crawl, for earlier, before that, in that same place, a place between hells. Oh, you know about it, yes. Between the first and second, there's this space that's not really space at all, and we have to make our passageway through there. I wander off the track a little bit, and I'm attacked by something I can only describe as a combination of a squid and a spider, and it came at me with horrendous ferocity to eat me, to have at flesh. Well, what it had at was my hammer, my pole hammer, my Lucian hammer, crushed it and cracked it and drove it straight through the inky blackness, decimating and leaving it laying and driven deeply like a peg into the ground. We get back, figure out eventually the magic mouth is not lying. I thought it was a trap. It wasn't, apparently. We crawl, we get to this layer of hell. On we come, finally finding the city of Dis, and in that city of Dis, in that city, we, the three of us, acquire the true nature of Flamantherma. For this type, this nasty creature, who I tell you I was going to satisfy in most utter ways, both her lust for power and her lust for other things. Indeed, for tieflings are quite flesh-driven in their desire, and she, the wings on that girl, I tell you, would quite have knocked out men from around the plains. And see why I've become just a bit lovelorn as we make our way, me and my sturdy basher Illthrin, always at my right hand, Illthrin, always there, Illthrin. We deduce that devils are there, Abishai, on the rooftops, in this, and this is a horrible place, where you, just to touch up against the walls, they burn you. Stand on the street too long, it burns you. Lutheran shoes, they burn, all of it burns. Most insidious place you have here, good Barton, I tell you that. I do not like it. I do not like your city, and I have tried it and found it wanting. But as we're making our way in, the more of these creatures come and join us, we are there trying to acquire these maggots for that fake creature, because I find there's probably still a good price and bargain to be made, even if, well, Gregor isn't going to be receiving a way home, when he certainly should be compensated. Well, we were already there. So, we find that she has wandered off, and she does not return, she being Flamantherma, the priestess of hell, who we thought to be in league with us. For I explained to her that I would bring her there, and under the gaze of Dispater, I would put her little wings so she may preen and bow and suck cock however she wants. I don't really know what she does exactly, but it was most understanding, and I demonstrated the strength that you must do when dealing with tyrants of such an imbalanced nature, for I know my people are as tyrannical as any hellion, I will assure you of that. And as we move on through the marketplace, finding him, we find these Abishai chasing us, these devils. I use my abilities, the inborn power of the blood, to allow Illr and I to escape their detection with several different spells, and we end up on another road. That's where we encountered a number of slaves and Lemure and other creatures that were most displeasing to us. So this is after we acquired the law, of course, but other displeasing creatures. A foul gargoyle man that dared to attempt to enslave me, the Golden Dream Thorn. He thought that he could put me to work upon such things. No, what happened? He was cast to the ground and driven and crushed by my Sting-Hamarr against the ground, and he experienced firsthand what it feels like to be crushed by the red child of hell, slayer of evil. And he was evil, and he was crushed and broken into a million pieces amongst the streets of hell. And even now, I'm sure if any wind does blow here, it will have blown his carcass in 1,000 different directions, for torment and discreditation is what he needs. And if you kill a fiend where a fiend lives, you have killed that fiend and vanquished him. And he deserves such things. Lemure, of course, you can't really ever kill them. They're like some sort of gelatin, bunching themselves up together, coming at us as a wedge. Well, it just smashed them, ended them. The slaves, I was trying to leave. Of course, Illr wants to free the slaves, because there's not a reason that someone would be a slave in hell. And surely someone who is cagey enough to become a slave in hell is someone we want with them. I said, Basha, this isn't really the right way to do it. There's no jink in these slaves. They're just obsolete items that we can't be bringing along with us. They have, by their own right, earned this perdition. We need not entangle ourselves, but of course he brings them along. We just one is with us now, slave one, I call him, and he is a rambling imbecile. But I don't feed him much, and we're not going to be paying an awful lot of coin for him, and I believe he shall get us in there, because this flower we have here, pull back petal by petal, it shall place and open doors where there are not but walls, and into Dispater's temple we shall slip. We shall find this holy avenger. We shall not have a pit fiend chase us down. We shall spit in the face of a devil power, of a thing nearly a god, take from it what we wish, and I shall have the answers to the riddles I need know. For he said with utter certainty that he knew, as I described to him, the thing that came upon me, that took from me, the thing that smelled, the thing that wore the raggedy black cloak with the gleaming green eyes, the 14-foot-tall thing that smelled of sugar and cinnamon and fresh baked cookies. He said he knew exactly what that was, and that is what I want, what that and the massive red ruby that he told us of. And Illr, I'm sure, wants to have a holy avenger. And with that, I see no reason that Dispater can't chase him for all times, seeking to claim back what has been taken from him. So that is where we're off to, Dispater's home here in Dis. For we do know, like all men know, that Dispater does not consult with outsiders.